Did you know that over 80% of job applicants fail to get hired simply because they don't know how to communicate effectively in interviews? Shocking, right? It's not about your resume, your experience, or even your qualifications. It's all about how you present yourself and how well you speak. In fact, studies show that 55% of how people judge you in an interview comes from your body language, while only 7% is based on what you actually say. That means, if you're not paying attention to your speaking skills, you're leaving the door wide open for someone else to walk in and take your dream job. But don't worry, you're about to learn some game-changing secrets that will make you stand out from the competition and almost guarantee that you get hired. In this video, we'll dive deep into techniques that top speakers use to captivate their audience and get noticed, whether it's mastering the perfect pause, harnessing the power of body language, or using your voice to leave a lasting impression. Stick around, because by the end, you'll have all the tools you need to earn your next job interview like a pro. Ready to become unforgettable? Let's get started. Chapter 1, The Secret Weapon, Mastering the Power of Pause. Have you ever heard someone speak, and they were so compelling, you couldn't stop listening? Chances are, they mastered the art of the pause. Using pauses strategically is one of the most powerful yet underrated techniques in public speaking. It's simple, but it works. According to a study by the University of Tokyo, pauses during speech can increase listener retention by 60%. Why? Because silence gives the audience time to process information and creates a sense of anticipation. When you pause, you show confidence. You're not rushing your words or filling every second with and ah. In interviews, when you pause after a question, you demonstrate that you're thinking carefully about your response. It's a small tactic that makes you seem more composed and thoughtful. This technique is known as strategic silence. The best speakers use pauses to build suspense. Take a moment before delivering your key points. For example, when answering a tough interview question, pause for a couple of seconds before replying. This gives the interviewer time to reflect on your previous answer and makes them more likely to listen attentively. The most memorable speeches throughout history used pauses to create emotional impact. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was known for his powerful pauses during his speeches. Don't fear silence. It's not awkward, it's powerful. In fact, pausing allows you to control the rhythm of your conversation. The trick is knowing when to pause. A study in the Journal of Voice revealed that speakers who varied their pacing with pauses kept audiences more engaged. Timing is key here. Try this simple exercise. Before answering any question, take a deep breath and pause for 1 to 2 seconds. Notice how it feels. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but with practice, it becomes second nature. The pause creates a mental space where your mind can catch up, giving you more time to formulate a perfect response. The ability to pause effectively shows that you're in control of the conversation. It shows that you're not afraid to let your words sink in. And if you're calm enough to pause, you come off as someone who is collected under pressure. That's a huge advantage in any job interview. Chapter 2, Body Language Hacks, Speak without saying a word. Did you know that up to 93% of communication is nonverbal? This means that your body language speaks volumes before you even say a word. In interviews, your posture, gestures, and facial expressions tell the interviewer everything they need to know about you, whether you realize it or not. One of the first things you should focus on is your posture. Stand or sit up straight. Not only does this convey confidence, but research from Harvard Business School shows that upright posture can actually make you feel more powerful. This is called power posing. It's as simple as rolling your shoulders back and sitting with an open chest. When you do this, you feel more confident, and others perceive you as more confident too. Eye contact is another crucial body language tool. When you maintain steady eye contact, it shows that you're engaged and trustworthy. However, don't overdo it. Staring at someone can feel intimidating. Instead, aim for what experts call the triangle gaze, where you shift your gaze between the person's eyes and mouth. This makes you appear both relaxed and attentive. Hand gestures can also make a huge difference. When speaking, it's natural to use your hands to emphasize key points. Studies have shown that people who use hand gestures are perceived as more persuasive. But be careful, excessive hand movement can be distracting. Keep your gestures open and purposeful. Imagine you're telling a story and your hands are just adding a little extra energy to it. A subtle but important tip: avoid crossing your arms. It can make you look defensive or closed off. Instead, keep your arms at your sides or use them to gesture naturally. In interviews, crossing your arms might signal that you're not fully engaged in the conversation. It's a simple adjustment that makes a big impact. Finally, pay attention to your facial expressions. Smiling in the right moments can build rapport and make you appear friendly and approachable. In fact, research from the Journal of Applied Psychology found that candidates who smile during job interviews are 30% more likely to get hired. But don't overdo it. A genuine smile works wonders. Mastering body language doesn't mean you have to be overly theatrical. It's about aligning your movements with your message. When your body matches the words you say, your message becomes more powerful. Chapter 3: Voice Modulation. Transforming your tone from dull to dynamic. Your voice is a powerful tool. The way you use it can either captivate or bore your audience. Voice modulation is the art of changing your tone, pitch, and speed to keep people engaged and make your message more impactful. It's not about speaking loudly, it's about speaking smartly. One of the simplest techniques is varying your pitch. If you speak in a monotone, your audience is likely to tune out. But by changing your pitch, sometimes higher, sometimes lower, you create a dynamic flow that keeps the listener's attention. Research shows that listeners are more likely to stay engaged when a speaker changes their pitch at least once every 10 seconds. Next, work on the speed of your speech. Speed can influence how your words are received. Speaking too fast can overwhelm your listener, while speaking too slowly can make you seem uncertain. According to a study by Stanford University, the ideal speaking rate for engagement is around 140 words per minute. This allows you to emphasize key points while still keeping things moving. Volume also plays a role in voice modulation. Speaking too quietly can make you sound unsure, while speaking too loudly can seem aggressive. The key is to adjust your volume based on the situation. In a job interview, for instance, you want to speak at a comfortable volume that can easily be heard without shouting. Practice speaking in a clear, moderate voice that's full of intention. Another interesting technique is pitch layering, where you combine different pitches within a single sentence. This strategy helps emphasize important ideas and create an emotional connection. For example, when talking about something you're passionate about, raise your pitch slightly to show enthusiasm. This variation adds life to your words. Breathing is another important part of voice modulation. If you're out of breath while speaking, your voice will sound shaky or weak. Practice breathing deeply from your diaphragm to maintain a strong and steady voice. It not only helps your speech sound better but also keeps you calm under pressure. Deep breathing helps control anxiety, which is especially helpful before a big interview. One more thing, don't be afraid of silence. The pauses we talked about earlier can be just as powerful as modulating your voice. When you slow down and pause, you create an impression of thoughtfulness. This gives weight to your words, allowing the audience to hang on to every sentence. The key takeaway is this: your voice is not just a tool to convey information, it's an instrument to make your message come alive. Use it wisely, and you'll see how much of a difference it can make in your job interview. If you're finding these tips helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the next chapters packed with game-changing strategies. Chapter 4: The Power of Storytelling. Turning your resume into a narrative. When it comes to job interviews, you need to do more than just rattle off your qualifications. To truly stand out, turn your resume into a story. Storytelling isn't just for authors, it's an incredibly effective way to communicate your experiences. Research from Harvard Business Review shows that people are 22 times more likely to remember a story than a list of facts. The key to storytelling in an interview is structure. A simple format to follow is problem, solution, and result. Start by briefly describing a challenge you faced. Then explain how you tackled it. Finally, share the outcome, how your actions led to a successful result. This not only makes your answer more engaging, but it also shows that you can think critically and solve problems. For example, instead of saying, "I increased sales by 20%, you could tell a story about a specific situation where you identified a problem, took action, and achieved the result. You could say, "At my previous job, our sales were stagnant. I noticed that our marketing strategies were outdated, so I proposed a new digital campaign that resulted in a 20% increase in sales." This paints a picture and makes your achievements more tangible. Storytelling also helps build an emotional connection. People tend to remember how you made them feel. When you weave emotion into your answers, you humanize yourself and become more relatable. Don't be afraid to show some vulnerability when telling your story. Acknowledge challenges you faced along the way, and how you overcame them. This makes you seem resilient and resourceful. One of the most important aspects of storytelling is to keep it concise. You want to be engaging, but you also want to stay on track. The best stories are brief but impactful. Avoid rambling and focus on the key points. The Stanford Graduate School of Business suggests that personal stories should last between 90 seconds to 2 minutes during an interview. Remember to tailor your stories to the job you're applying for. Every story you share should connect to the skills and qualities that the employer values. When you tie your experience to their needs, you show that you've done your homework and understand what they're looking for. Chapter 5. Microphone Magic. Sound like a pro. Even without a mic, you don't need a microphone to sound like a professional speaker. The key to projecting your voice is learning how to use your natural vocal power effectively. The Journal of Voice found that speakers who project their voice clearly without straining are perceived as more authoritative and confident. One of the simplest ways to improve your voice projection is through diaphragmatic breathing. When you breathe deeply from your diaphragm, your voice has more volume and control, and it doesn't get strained. Try this. Place a hand on your stomach, take a deep breath, and feel your stomach expand. This is how you should be breathing when speaking. It allows you to speak with power and clarity. Another important trick is to speak slowly and clearly. When you rush, you not only risk being misunderstood, but you also sound less confident. Speaking slowly gives you time to think and allows your listener to absorb your words. According to the National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders, speaking slowly increases comprehension by 25%. This is particularly important in interviews, where every word counts. One technique that professional speakers use is called the resonance technique. This involves using the natural resonating spaces in your chest and head to amplify your voice. To practice, hum a tune and notice where you feel the vibration in your body. This is the space you want to focus on to create a fuller, more powerful voice. To sound even more professional, vary your pitch. As we discussed earlier, speaking in a monotone is a sure way to lose your audience. Varying your pitch not only keeps your listeners engaged but also adds emotion and depth to your speech. Think about how a great storyteller brings their characters to life using different vocal tones. Finally, if you're feeling nervous, remember to warm up your voice before your interview. Just like any other muscle, your vocal cords benefit from a warm-up. Simple humming exercises or reading out loud for a few minutes can help relax your vocal cords and prepare your voice for the interview. Sounding professional doesn't require a fancy microphone or equipment. With these simple techniques, you'll be able to speak with authority and clarity, leaving a lasting impression in your interview. Chapter 6. The Empathy Edge. Building connection with your words. Great speakers don't just talk, they connect. One of the most effective ways to connect with your audience, or in this case, your interviewer, is by practicing empathy. Empathy means understanding and sharing the feelings of others, and it's a powerful tool in communication. Research from the University of Toronto suggests that empathetic communication increases trust and likability by 40%. Empathy starts with listening. During an interview, actively listening to your interviewer's questions and comments is crucial. This shows that you're engaged and that you care about their perspective. Active listening involves nodding occasionally, making eye contact, and repeating key points to show understanding. Reflecting emotions is another way to build empathy. If the interviewer expresses concern about a specific challenge the company is facing, acknowledge that concern and empathize with it. For instance, you could say, "I understand how challenging it can be to maintain team morale during tough times. I've experienced something similar in my previous job, and I know how important it is to offer support and motivation." When responding, frame your answers to align with the values and challenges that the interviewer cares about. This shows that you've been listening and that you can relate to their needs. If you can connect your experience to their pain points, you'll show that you not only understand their problem but also have the solution. A key part of empathetic communication is the tone of your voice. Speaking with warmth and kindness can make you appear more approachable and genuine. When you soften your tone and speak with understanding, you're more likely to create an emotional bond. Remember, people tend to hire individuals they feel comfortable with and trust. Another way to build empathy is through storytelling. As we mentioned earlier, sharing personal experiences allows the interviewer to see you as more than just a resume. It makes you a real person they can relate to. When you tell a story with emotional depth, you draw the listener in and create a bond. Empathy isn't just about understanding others, it's also about showing vulnerability. If you've faced challenges or made mistakes, sharing these moments humanizes you. It allows the interviewer to see that you are self-aware and capable of growth. A quote from Daring Greatly by Brené Brown says it best: vulnerability is not winning or losing, it's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. The key takeaway from this chapter is that empathy doesn't just make you a better communicator, it makes you a more attractive candidate. When you connect with an interviewer on an emotional level, you create a relationship that goes beyond just qualifications. If you found these tips useful, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss more powerful strategies to help you succeed in interviews.